unproblematic, right? It still carries these large risks because guess what? There's no safe level, regardless of what the fucking regulatory agencies say. You may have heard, this has kind of been in talks for quite some time, and a lot of fishermen, Japanese fishermen in particular, have been combating the Japanese government. But y'all might remember Fukushima, which in 2011.
Fun times.
Was that really 2011? Jesus Christ.
I know, it's been a long time.
Which in 2011, it broke. That's the Cliff's Notes of that fucking disaster. But so they've been wondering what to do with all of the wastewater from the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. And now they've announced, the Japanese government has announced that this summer it will start pumping more than 1 million tons of treated water into the Pacific Ocean, a process that will take decades to complete.
Now, will this make us treated humans? Is that?
I think we already are. So the water was distilled after being contaminated from contact with fuel rods at the reactor. Tanks on the site now hold about 1.3 million tons of radioactive water, enough to fill 500 Olympic-sized swimming pools.
Now that I would watch that sport. I would watch whatever the one where they swim in Olympic radiation water. I would watch that.
I'm also curious, when did Olympic-sized swimming pool become
the way to
the measuring stick for this shit? Like, because I've seen an Olympic-sized swimming pool, but it's not my general. I don't think about it that often. I feel like you could do better with even a football field worth of water.
You don't know what a football field is.
I've seen one. I've never been in front of an Olympic-sized swimming pool. I've been in front of football fields.
They have Olympic-sized swimming pools at like the Y and shit.
That's not Olympic-sized, you doofus.
They do have
Y-sized.
That's Y-sized?
It's Y-sized.
Y-shaped?
It's not Y-shaped. Anyway. Okay. So, TEPCO, the company that owns the plant, has been filtering the contaminated water to remove isotopes, radioactive isotopes, leaving only tritium, a radioactive isotope, which I find funny. They've been removing isotopes, except for this one isotope.
Except for the good one.
That is difficult, they say, to separate from water. Okay, that's a bummer. TEPCO will dilute the water until tritium levels fall below regulatory limits. Ah, there you have it. The regulatory limits.
Not getting rid of it, just below the regulatory.
No. And if y'all have ever read or done any research into the regulatory limits of anything, you find that it's pretty faulty. Like there's pretty
faulty.
There's a regulatory limit for lead, for instance, but there's no actual amount of lead that is safe to ingest.
Right.
So the regulatory limit should be 0, but it can't be because industry and corporatocracy. So instead, it's some arbitrary number that is not going to be safe.
It's kind of like there's actually a regulatory level of allowable, this is true, rat shit in every hot dog you buy. Now, does that mean that you want to be reaching that level in every hot dog? And also, if you would eat a certain number of hot dog, now collectively, you have a whole bundle of rat shit in you.
I'm sorry, are you serious?
I mean, I am serious. There is a regulatory allowable level of rat shit in a hot dog.
Why is that?
I have so many questions.
I have so many questions, but also why is specifically rat shit?
Because what do you think's running around hot dog factories?
Well, yeah, but what about the pig shit?
No, it is. There's regulatory allowable other things as well, such as roach parts. So there are other things as well. It's not just rat shit. But.
Okay. Well, the more you know. Okay.
Was that the positive? Was that the palate cleanser? That was the palate.
That was not a palate cleanser for anybody who eats hot dogs.
Rat shit was
the palate de-cleanser.
Rat shit was the palate cleanser.
So now if you look into tritium, it says it, like, for instance, it does not even leach radioactivity in outside the vial that it's being held in. So like alpha beta particles, that whole rigmarole. In that sense, it is safe. However, if ingested, it has a lot of cancer-causing properties. Now, riddle me this, good folks. Do you ever eat anything that has been in the ocean, or do you ever swallow any water that has been or is ocean water?
Never have.
Problematic, perhaps. Now, the Reuters article also makes this point, which I think it was hoping would make it sound less horrific, but had the opposite effect on me. Water containing tritium is routinely released from nuclear plants around the world. What? So I did a little digging, and if you want to bring up this Wikipedia.
Highlight the map. Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's not the map, it's the list.
History?
No, just scroll. Yeah. So, for instance, now there have been regulations that have shifted across the years in terms of dumping radioactive waste into the oceans. And one of them notes that the difference between low-level radioactive waste, which is this tritium, and that's great and all. It's great that they've changed the regulations so that you can't just pour untreated radioactive wastewater into the oceans. But again, the idea of dumping treated water, radioactive water, is not unproblematic, right? It still carries these large risks because guess what? There's no safe level, regardless of what the fucking regulatory agencies say. So again, if you look at this list, it outlines the time period and also the amount of waste that has been dumped into the Pacific, into the Baltic, into the Atlantic, over the course of, basically since nuclear power. And it is fucking horrifying. It is absolutely horrifying. We're talking starting in the 40s and going up till, today, the amount that has been dumped into the oceans is astonishing. And instead of doing our best to try and rectify this, we're like, you know what, we're going to do more of that. But don't worry, because it's only cancer causing if you have anything to do with it in or around your person, which, since the Earth is majority oceans, that's really damn difficult to avoid.
We treat the world's ocean like it is the world's dumpster, and that can't keep going on like that. And I'm sorry to be a broken record, or beat a dead horse, or beat a dead record and be a broken horse. But at the root of this, you have, at least to some extent, capitalism. Because if many of these companies that do this, that pump all this into the water, that allow for the endless extraction of resources and the pollution of the world, if they had to account for the externalities, if they had to pay for the externalities, most of them, if not all of them, would not be profitable. It wouldn't be a way you could function if you were actually forced to deal with your own pollution from the things you're making and doing. And of course, capitalism doesn't calculate any of that. It just says, can you make a bunch of money, dump all the shit in the ocean, and walk the other direction?
And there's also, some people might be thinking, oh, well, it's fine because I don't eat seafood, so don't worry.
I do eat fishermen, so rough on that one.
This is a problem of how we think about the interconnectedness of our ecosystems and our planet. And this is not woo-woo shit. This is science. I mean, it's also woo-woo shit that we knew way before science joined the party, but that's so often the case with ancient wisdom and knowledge. But when it rains, a lot of that water is coming from ocean currents and shit that the ocean churns up. And when those crops that you ingest from the rain, and it's all fucking connected. So there's no such thing as, oh, I'm not part of this problem because I don't eat fish. You are affected by this problem, even if you eat fucking nothing but kale. Like, you still are affected by these. I'm just gonna call it fucking terrorism against
eco-terrorism.
Eco-terrorism, yeah.
I had an old rollerblade hit me in the head during a rainstorm. It does. It all cycles. People don't realize.
Yours or somebody else's?
No, someone else's.
Oh, okay, I was about to say, if it was yours, that's impressive.
If it was yours, that's impressive.